I am Audrey Crawford. I am 32 years old. 2 months ago, on Thanksgiving night, right in front of about 30 relatives, my parents gave my sister a $13,000 luxury cruise package and handed me a crumpled $2 lottery ticket with a smug little smile. This is all that makes sense for your situation, Audrey, my mother said, loud enough for the whole dining room to hear, and they laughed, all of them. What they didn't know was that tiny ticket was about to flip my entire life upside down. Because $100 million changes everything. Just not in the way people think. Before I jump in, if this story pulls you in, hit like and subscribe, but only if you really want to stay for the ride. And tell me where you're watching from, and what time it is for you. I always like knowing where new people are tuning in, from around the world. Now let me take you back to that Thanksgiving night. The night things didn't just crack. They started falling apart. In my family, Thanksgiving was always a show. Not cozy and sweet like those holiday movies. More like a stage where everyone knew their part. And you better not mess it up. I pulled into my parents' driveway at exactly 5 o'clock, holding a homemade fall salad and a bouquet of dahlias I grew myself. Deep burgundy, perfect for the season. I'd spent 3 months caring for those flowers, checking them every day like they mattered. My mother opened the door before I even knocked. "Oh, Audrey?" Her eyes glanced at the bouquet, and then slid away like it annoyed her. "Still messing with plants, I see." And before I could even answer, I heard excited squealing behind her. Vivian had arrived. My mom basically rushed past me, arms wide. "There's my girl." She hugged my sister, like she hadn't seen her in years. "That dress is gorgeous. Is it new?" I stood in the doorway holding my flowers, watching her treat my sister like a celebrity. Even though they'd seen each other 2 weeks ago, inside, the house was packed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, I barely knew. Everyone talking over each other. Everyone loud and happy. My dad was in his leather recliner, deep in conversation with Marcus. My brother-in-law, he didn't stand up when I walked in, just gave me a small nod, like I was a neighbor, not his daughter. "Audrey? Good you're here," he said, still staring at Marcus. "We need help setting the table." Of course, I wasn't invited to relax. I was invited to work. The living room was basically a fan club around Marcus while he bragged about his latest real estate consulting deal. Everyone leaned in like he was some genius. I knew better. Marcus had that slippery vibe. Smooth words, quick smiles, eyes that felt like they were always calculating. I didn't have proof. Just a gut feeling that never stopped buzzing. Across the room, Aunt Marlene caught my eye and gave me a small, sad smile, like she wanted to say something, but didn't dare. Later, I was alone in the dining room, folding napkins, when my mother brought over a distant cousin to introduce me. "This is Audrey, my younger daughter," she said like she was reading a label. "She does gardening, something with plants, landscape, whatever." I swallowed my frustration. "I design green spaces for corporate buildings," I corrected gently. She waved a hand like it didn't matter. "Same thing, dear." I kept folding napkins. Some fights aren't worth having. Not yet. I was refilling the water pitcher when I heard voices in the kitchen. The door was slightly open, just enough for sound to slip out. My mom, my dad, and Vivian were talking in that quiet, secret tone families use when they think nobody's listening. "The cruise leaves December 15th, my mom said. 2 weeks in the Caribbean, the whole family. You, Marcus, the kids, your father and me. Even Grandma Grace if she's feeling well enough." My hand froze on the pitcher. "What about Audrey?" Vivian asked. Not upset, not caring. Just saying my name like a reminder. Silence. Then my dad cleared his throat. "She's busy with work," he said. "And honestly, a trip like this is expensive. We don't want to put her in that position." They didn't ask if I was busy. They didn't ask if I could afford it. They didn't ask if I wanted to go. They decided I didn't matter enough to include. I pushed the kitchen door open. "So I'm not invited?" All three of them turned. My mom's smile tightened. My dad suddenly became fascinated by his coffee cup. "Sweetheart," my mom started. "This trip is to celebrate Marcus's promotion," she said quickly. "It's really more of a family trip." "I get it," I said. finishing her sentence. It's not about me. Vivian tilted her head and smiled in that sweet voice that always sounded fake. We just didn't think you'd care. You're always so independent. Independent. That's the word they used when they meant outsider. I was about to speak again when I noticed movement behind me. Grandma Grace stood in the hallway with her walker, her thin hand gripping it hard. She looked so small, but her eyes were sharp, her gaze met mine, and for a second I felt something I almost never felt in that house. Seen. She reached out and squeezed my hand. She didn't say a word, but that squeeze said plenty. Audrey, help your grandmother sit down, my mother snapped, already trying to control the moment. She shouldn't be standing that long. As my mom guided her away, Grandma Grace looked back at me. Her lips moved silently, like she didn't want anyone else to hear. Call Thomas Smith this week. I didn't understand what she meant, but I promised myself I would. I didn't know it yet, but that message was the first real crack in my family's fake perfect picture. A little later, the dining room went quiet when my dad stood up and tapped his wineglass with a fork. He smiled that practiced smile. The same smile he used when he used to sell used cars like they were brand new. Before we eat, he said, I just want to say how grateful I am. Family is everything. Everyone nodded, like they were in a commercial. 30 people, 30 witnesses to what happened next. This year, he continued, Patricia and I wanted to do something extra special for our daughters. Then he turned toward Vivian and opened his arms. Vivian, sweetheart, come here. Vivian walked up in her designer heels like she was stepping onto a runway. My mom handed her a thick envelope, beaming. For you and Marcus and the kids, she said. A 14-day Caribbean cruise. First class. The room exploded. Clapping, gasps, people cheering like my sister just won an award. Vivian teared up, the pretty kind of tears, the kind that look good in photos. Oh my God, thank you. She hugged them both. Laughing like this was the happiest moment of her life. $13,000. I knew, because I'd seen the itinerary on my mom's computer last month. By accident. I wasn't supposed to. But I did. Then my mom turned toward me. The clapping died down. The room got strangely quiet. Audrey, honey. Come here. I walked forward like my legs forgot how to work. My mom placed a thin envelope in my hands. Inside was a single slip of paper. A lottery ticket. Mega Millions. $2. This fits your situation, dear, she said, smiling. But her eyes were cold. Who knows, maybe you'll get lucky. Someone snorted. Then another person laughed. Marcus leaned back in his chair, smirking like he'd been waiting for this moment. Luck doesn't work when you don't have brains to go with it. Laughter rolled through the room. Vivian covered her mouth, giggling. Aw, Mom, that's adorable. Maybe she'll win $5. I stared down at the ticket in my hand. My face burned. But deep inside, something shifted. Something cracked open. Not sadness, not even anger. More like a decision. I forced a smile. Thank you, Mom, I said softly. I'm sure it's exactly what I deserve. Nobody noticed the sharp edge in my voice, but I did. The laughter was still hanging in the air when another voice cut through it. Gerald. Patricia, this is not okay. Everyone turned. Grandma Grace stood at the edge of the room, trembling because she wasn't using her walker. Her voice was thin, but it carried. You cannot treat Audrey like this. Not in front of everyone. Not ever. The silence that followed was different. Heavy. Awkward. Like the whole room didn't know where to look. My dad's jaw tightened. Mother, please. I'm not finished, she snapped. But my mom was already moving fast, heels clicking hard on the floor. She wrapped an arm around Grandma Grace like it was care, but it was control. You're tired, Mom. Let's get you to bed. I'm not tired, Grandma Grace protested. The doctor said you need rest, my mother said firmly. Come on. I watched as my mother guided her away, like she was escorting a problem out of the room. Grandma Grace looked back over her shoulder at me, held my eyes, and nodded once, slow and clear. Then her gaze flicked toward the armchair by the window, where her old leather handbag sat. The one she never let anyone touch. Ever. The door closed behind them. The whole room breathed out like the danger had passed. Conversation started again. Laughing started again. The moment disappeared, like it never happened. But I saw Aunt Marlene watching me from across the room, pale as paper, like she knew something and it scared her. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. The lottery ticket was still crumpled in my fist. $2. That's what my own parents thought I was worth. But Grandma Grace's words kept repeating in my head. Thomas Smith, a lawyer. Why would my grandma, who wasn't the suing type, who didn't have legal drama, tell me to call a lawyer? I didn't know yet, but I felt it. Something was waiting under the surface. Something ugly. Something real. That night, close to midnight, I was cleaning up like always. Most guests were gone. Vivian and Marcus were in the living room, planning outfits for their cruise. My parents were walking the last relatives out. I carried dishes into my dad's study, and that's when I saw it. His desk was messy, like someone had rushed papers everywhere. Bills stamped, overdue in red. A letter from a collection agency, and under it, a loan agreement, signed by my father, co-signed by Marcus Pierce. Srekot 80,000. The interest rate was sick, predatory. The kind of deal you only make when you're desperate. Or when someone's trapping you. My hands shook as I flipped the page. And it got worse. Collateral papers for Grandma Grace's house. The house she'd lived in for 50 years. The house my mom grew up in. The house that was supposed to stay Grandma's until the end. And there it was. Her signature. Shaky, uneven. Dated 6 months ago. The same month she fell, got hospitalized, and was pumped full of pain meds. They made her sign when she wasn't herself. My heart started hammering so hard I could hear it. I pulled out my phone and took pictures. One page, then another, then another. I didn't know what my plan was yet. I just knew I needed proof, before anyone could hide it. And in that moment, everything finally made sense. The favoritism wasn't just love. It wasn't just Vivian is the golden child. I was the risk. I was the one who might notice. The one who might ask questions. The one who might connect the dots. So they kept me small, quiet, busy, invisible. That's why they handed me a $2 lottery ticket with a smile. I slipped out the back door, with those photos saved and my mind on fire. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to stay silent. A week after Thanksgiving, I called Aunt Marlene. She answered on the second ring. Audrey. Monson, Aunt Marlene. I need to ask you something. What is it, honey? Is Dad in big trouble? Like, serious debt? Silence. Long, heavy, the kind of silence that's basically an answer. You know something? I pressed. Her voice dropped low. How did you find out? I saw papers at the house. Alone? With Marcus? Audrey, she whispered, don't talk about this on the phone. Why? Because there are things you don't know yet. About Marcus. And about your father. My grip tightened. Like what? Not here. Not like this, she said. Meet me Saturday. The coffee shop on Elm Street, 2 o'clock. Aunt Marlene, please. And Audrey? She paused. Don't trust anything Marcus tells you. He's not who he pretends to be. Then the line went dead. I sat in my apartment staring at that lottery ticket on the counter. I'd almost forgotten about it. It had been sitting there, wrinkled and ignored. Just like me. Maybe it was time to finally check the numbers. I opened the Mega Millions app, typed the numbers in, and watched the little loading circle spin. The first number matched. My heart jumped. The second number matched. I stopped breathing. Third, fourth, fifth, all matched. Then the last one. Matched. I refreshed the app like it had to be wrong. Same result. I went to the official site. Same result. $100 million. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, completely still, like my body forgot how to move. Then I did the first thing anyone does when their life flips over in 1 second. I Googled, what should a lottery winner do first? And that's when Grandma Grace's message hit me like lightning again. Call Thomas Smith. Ja. Ein Ixen, not Jot. Jot. Not. It was time to make that call. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not Vivian. Not even Aunt Marlene. Not a single person. For 3 days I walked through my life like I wasn't really there. I went to work. Answered emails. Smiled at clients. And acted normal. while carrying a secret worth 9 figures in my pocket. Every time my phone buzzed with a message from my mom or my sister, I felt nothing. Because it wasn't the money that was eating me alive. It was the power, not power over them, power over me. For 32 years, I was the extra child, the quiet one, the one who helped, served, cleaned, fixed problems, and stayed out of the way, the plant girl, the invisible one. And now for the first time in my life, I had choices they couldn't control. I didn't call my parents. I didn't call Vivian. I didn't post online. I didn't buy a flashy car. I didn't do any of the things people think lottery winners do. Instead, I called the name Grandma Grace had mouthed to me, like it was a warning. Thomas Smith answered with a calm, professional voice. "Miss Crawford," he said, "your grandmother mentioned you might contact me." I swallowed hard. "She told me to call you. But I don't even know why." There was a pause, like he was picking his words carefully. "It would be best if you came to my office," he said. "There are a few things we need to discuss." I hesitated. "Is this about the lottery?" Another pause. "You've won something," he said slowly. "Yes," I replied. 100 million. This time the silence was longer, and it felt heavy. Then he said, very clearly, "Then we definitely need to talk." But his next words made my stomach drop. "Miss Crawford, what your grandmother wanted me to discuss with you was important even before any lottery ticket existed. It involves her estate." My throat went dry. "Her house, what about it?" "It's better I show you in person," he said. "Can you come tomorrow?" "Yes," I said, and my voice sounded smaller than I wanted it to. "And Audrey," he added, "do not mention this call to anyone in your family." "Not yet." When I hung up, I stared at my reflection in the black phone screen. That ticket gave me money. But Thomas Smith was about to hand me something more dangerous. The truth. The next day, Thomas Smith's office smelled like old books and expensive leather. He was older than I expected, maybe early 60s, with silver hair and kind eyes behind thin wire glasses. He looked like the kind of lawyer who still believed in doing the right thing. He offered me a seat across from his desk. I sat, trying to keep my hands from shaking. "What did my grandmother want you to tell me?" I asked. He slid a folder toward me. 10 years ago," he said, "your grandmother set up a trust in your name." I blinked. "A trust?" He nodded once. $500,000. The room felt like it tilted sideways. "What?" I whispered. I never knew. She wanted it that way," he said gently. "She was afraid." "Afraid of what?" His face softened. "Afraid your mother would find a way to take it from you?" My fingers opened the folder, like it was fragile glass. Bank statements, legal pages, signatures, dates, everything official, everything real. Then Thomas leaned forward. "There's more." I looked up. "The house," he said. "Your grandmother's house?" I took a sharp breath. "I saw papers." "In my dad's study." He nodded slowly. "Then you already know the worst part?" "That deed was signed 6 months ago," he explained. "The day after your grandmother was hospitalized. She was on strong pain medication. Barely aware. Her signature is unsteady. The timing is very suspicious." I felt sick. "That's fraud." "Possibly," he said carefully. "But proving pressure or coercion is difficult without witnesses. Still, we have reasons to challenge it." I swallowed. "She didn't know what she was signing." "I don't believe she did," he said. "And here's the real danger. Your father owes Marcus Pierce $180,000. My jaw tightened. "Marcus." "Yes," Thomas said. "And the house was used as collateral. If your father defaults, Marcus can take the property." Everything clicked into place so hard, it almost hurt. The cruise, the secrets, the way they kept me out of things, the way they treated me like a problem, the way they needed me quiet. It was never just about love. It was about control. It was about hiding the truth from the one person who might expose it. I looked up at Thomas, and my voice came out steady even though my chest was shaking. "What can I do? With your resources now," he said, "you have options. We can challenge the deed. We can pay off the debt and remove the lien. We can protect your grandmother so nobody can take advantage of her again." I stared down at those papers. $500,000 Grandma Grace created for me. And $100 million my mother handed me as a joke. I looked back up. Protect her, I said. That's what we're doing. And listen, I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Audrey, are you going to destroy them? Are you going to get revenge? But this isn't a revenge story. This is a truth story. So if you want to know what happens next, stay with me and tell me in the comments. Have you ever been treated unfairly by your own family? If you've ever felt like the extra child, hit like, because you're going to understand every single word of what comes next. Because now it was time to meet Aunt Marlene and hear what she'd been scared to say out loud. The coffee shop on Elm Street was almost empty when she walked in. She looked older than she did on Thanksgiving. Tired, like she hadn't slept right in years. She slid into the booth across from me and held her purse tight like it was armor. Thank you for meeting me, I said. I should have said something a long time ago, she whispered. But your mother? You know how she is. I leaned forward. Tell me about Marcus. Her hands trembled as she picked up her coffee, then set it down without drinking. Marcus isn't a consultant, she said. Not really. My stomach tightened. Then what is he? He lends money, she said quietly. To desperate people. And the interest rates are evil. The kind that ruins lives. I nodded slowly. I had a feeling. And there's more, she said, then pulled out her phone. She scrolled through photos and stopped on screenshots. 2 months ago, at your parents' anniversary party, Marcus left his phone unlocked on the counter, she said quickly. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for my phone. But then I saw this. She turned the screen toward me. Text messages between Marcus and someone named Diana. They weren't friendly. They were professional. They were romantic, explicit, and disgusting. One message made my blood run cold. Can wait until this is over. Once the house deal closes, I'm out. Another message. What about Vivian? And Marcus replied, she served her purpose. Divorce papers are already drafted. I stared at the screen, my hands turning cold. He's cheating on her. For 8 months, Marlene whispered. Diana is his assistant. Her eyes filled with tears. I wanted to tell Vivian, she said, voice breaking. But Marcus, he's not someone you cross. Does Vivian know? I asked. I don't think so, she said. She's so focused on being perfect, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, she can't see what's right in front of her. I sat back, trying to breathe. In that moment, something ugly became clear. My sister wasn't my enemy. She was another victim. She just didn't know it yet. I reached across the table and squeezed Aunt Marlene's hand. You did the right thing by telling me. I'm sorry I waited so long, she whispered. I'm so sorry. It's not too late, I said. Not yet. And then, I went straight to the nursing home to see Grandma Grace. The place smelled like disinfectant and dying flowers. Grandma's room was small, but bright, with a window that looked out at a garden that badly needed help. My kind of help. She looked smaller than I remembered, more fragile. But the second I walked in, her eyes lit up with that same sharp fire I'd always known. Audrey, she said, reaching for my hand. You came. Of course I came, I told her. I pulled a chair close and held her hand like I was afraid someone would pull her away again. Grandma, I talked to Thomas Smith. Her grip tightened. Good, she said. He's a good man. I swallowed. Why didn't you tell me about the trust? Because your mother would have taken it, she said, simple and firm. You were the only one who never asked me for anything, never expected anything. That's how I knew you were the one who deserved it. My eyes burned. Then her expression changed. And the house, she whispered. They made me sign papers. I don't remember clearly. Everything was foggy. I was in pain. I know, I said softly. Thomas explained, we're going to fix it. She studied my face like she could read my thoughts. There's something else, she said. Something you're not telling me. I hesitated. And then I told her, Grandma, I checked the lottery ticket. Her eyes narrowed. And it's $100 million. For a second, she just stared. Then she laughed, a real laugh. Like dry leaves rustling. Karma, she whispered. I always believed in karma. I squeezed her hand. I'm going to buy back your house, I said. I'm going to make sure you can live there again. No matter what it takes. Her fingers touched my cheek. I don't need you to hurt anyone, she said quietly. I just need you to be free and protect what matters. I will, I promised. She nodded, then said, promise me something. Anything, I said. Don't become like them, she said. Don't let money turn you cold. I kissed her forehead. I promise. Some promises are easy to say. This one, I meant with my whole soul. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, the Crawfords gathered again. This time for a bon voyage dinner before the big cruise. And just like always, I wasn't invited as a guest. I was invited as free labor. Audrey, can you fix the centerpieces? Audrey, you're good with plants, handle the table decor? Audrey, talk to the caterer. Audrey, make sure Grandma Grace's nurse knows we'll be gone for 2 weeks. I did it all with a calm smile. Like, I didn't mind. I played the part they trained me to play. Quiet, useful, easy to ignore. What they didn't know was that, while they were bragging and laughing, lawyers were already working behind the scenes for me. What they didn't know was that I had set up an LLC so I could claim my winnings without my name being blasted everywhere. What they didn't know was that in a few weeks, I'd be worth more than everyone in that house combined. And not one of them would see it coming. That dinner felt like a parade of ego. Marcus sat in the center of attention, talking about cruise activities like he was hosting. The whole trip. Snorkeling, fancy dinners, the private spa treatments for Vivian. All of it. Vivian looked at me with that soft, careless smile. Too bad you can't come, Audrey, she said like she was pretending to feel bad. But someone has to water Mom's orchids. I don't mind, I said sweetly. I hope you all have the best time. And I meant it. Because I needed them on that ship. Dad clapped Marcus on the shoulder like a proud fanboy. This guy, Dad said, laughing. Best thing that ever happened to this family. Marcus turned his eyes on me. His smile didn't reach them. His eyes were cold, like he was counting numbers in his head. Then he leaned closer, voice dripping with fake friendliness. Hey Audrey, buy any more lottery tickets? Maybe you'll win $5 next time. The table laughed. I let them laugh. I just smiled and said, you never know, luck level apprising people. Mom lifted her glass like she was the queen of the room. To family, she said. To fortune. To the Crawfords. Everyone drank. I raised my water glass and took a small sip. 12 days. In 12 days, they would be in the middle of the ocean. And I would be ready. The night before they left, Mom tried to guilt me one last time. You're not coming to see us off? She asked. Like I was betraying them by having my own life. I have a client meeting, I said. A big project. She made that sour face she always made when I chose work over worshipping the family. Always work with you, she snapped. Always work. Like I ever had another choice. Like they ever offered me anything else. The morning they left for the cruise, I stayed home. I didn't wave. I didn't help load bags. I didn't do anything. Instead, I spent that whole day in Thomas Smith's office, signing paperwork and locking things down. He told me the money would clear after taxes within the week. Around $62 million. More than enough to fix everything. I was going over documents when my phone buzzed. Didion. Audrey, something's wrong. Dad's credit card got declined at the port. Can you send $500? I'll pay you back. I stared at the message for a long time. The irony almost made me laugh. The first time in my life my sister asked me for money. And it was because the truth was already catching up. I knew exactly why the card didn't work. The debt was squeezing tighter. Marcus wasn't covering things like he promised. And the whole little fake perfect family tower was starting to shake. I typed back, I can't spare $500 right now. Ask Marcus, he's the finance guy. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, never mind. We fixed it. I didn't ask how. I didn't care. All that mattered was this. They were on that ship. Every single one of them. Mom, Dad, Vivian, Marcus stuck in the middle of the ocean for 2 weeks. I looked at Thomas. How soon can we file the challenge on the house deed? Monday, he said. I walked out of his office and stared at the city like I was seeing it for the first time. Somewhere out there, a cruise ship was sailing toward the Caribbean. And I was about to start my own journey. On day 3 of their cruise, I posted one Instagram story. Just me, standing in front of Grandma Grace's house. The same house that was supposedly no longer hers. The caption was simple. Home renovation project, starting soon. I knew Dad would see it. He lived on social media. It was his way of keeping control. That same day, the local news posted a story. Mega Millions jackpot claimed winner, staying anonymous. And the detail that made everything even funnier. The ticket was bought at a convenience store, 3 miles from my parents' house. I didn't plan that part. Life just has a brutal sense of humor. Aunt Marlene, bless her, mentioned it in the family group chat. Did anyone hear about the lottery winner? Someone from our area won $100 million. The ticket was bought at that Quick Mart on Henderson Avenue. The chat went crazy. Cousins joking, uncles guessing, people posting laughing emojis and retirement plans. Then Mom messaged me privately. Audrey, that lottery ticket I gave you on Thanksgiving, you still have it, right? I didn't answer right away. I waited an hour on purpose, let her sit in her nerves. Then I typed, yes mom, I still have it. Why? She replied, just curious. No reason. That emoji told me everything. My mother never used emojis unless she was scared. 1 hour later, my phone started blowing up. Calls from mom, calls from dad, calls from Vivian, calls from Marcus. I let all of them ring. By evening, I had 43 missed calls. By midnight, 79. 79. The texts went from fake sweet to full panic. Hey honey, just checking in. Then Audrey, call us now. Then this is urgent. Then why are you doing this to us? I turned my phone, face down and went to bed. Because tomorrow, I would call them back. But it would be on my terms. And it would be with an audience. In the morning, I listened to every voicemail like it was a playlist. Mom's first message was soft and sugary. Audrey? Honey, it's mom, just wanted to hear your voice. By message 7, she was sharper. Audrey, this is important. Call me back. By message 15, she was angry. I don't understand why you're ignoring us. This isn't like you. Dad's voicemails were short, stiff, like he was ordering a mechanic to check a car. Audrey, it's your father. We need to talk. Family business. Vivian sounded confused, like her world was wobbling. Audrey? Seriously. What's going on? Mom is freaking out. And Marcus sounded smooth as oil. Audrey, I think we should discuss investment opportunities. You know, family helping family. I sat there in my new apartment, the rental I grabbed quietly a week earlier. Nothing fancy, just mine. And I let their desperation wash over me like waves. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about the money. I texted Thomas, everything ready? He replied, ready when you are. So I opened the family group chat and typed one sentence. I'll video call tonight at 8 p.m. EST. Everyone needs to be there. I have something important to share. Within seconds, the replies flooded in. Mom, of course, sweetie, we'll all be there. Dad, looking forward to it, kiddo. Vivian, okay. Can't wait. Marcus sent a thumbs up emoji, like he was confirming a business meeting. They thought they won. They thought I was about to say, yes, I won, and here's your share. They had no clue what was actually coming. I spent the afternoon getting everything ready. Organizing screenshots, sorting documents, rehearsing my words, because this wasn't revenge. This was truth, and truth sets you free. At exactly 8 o'clock, I clicked join call. Their faces filled my screen, crowded together in what looked like the ship's lounge. A tropical sunset glowed behind them, through the windows like some fake paradise. Mom's voice came first, sweet as syrup. Audrey, there's our girl. We miss you so much, honey. Dad leaned in too. Wish you were here with us. Vivian waved from behind them. Hi sis, you look good. Did you do something with your hair? They had never complimented my hair in my life. Marcus sat slightly apart, arms crossed, watching me like a calculator with a face. I smiled softly. Thanks for making time, I said. I know you're busy enjoying your vacation. Family comes first, Mom announced. Always, I said. And I let that word hang in the air. Dad leaned forward. So, we heard some interesting news. Something about a lottery ticket. I didn't flinch. Yes, I said. I won. Silence. Then chaos. Oh my God. No way. How much? Audrey. Congratulations. I let them talk and talk until they ran out of air. Then I said it clearly. 100 million. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Dad's mouth opened and shut like he couldn't breathe. Vivian looked like she might faint. Marcus recovered fast. Too fast. Audrey, that is life-changing money, he said. You're going to need help investing, taxes, asset protection. I already have a lawyer, I cut in. Marcus smiled like he didn't like being interrupted. Sure. But family should help family. I understand money. I looked straight into the camera. Before we talk about money, there are things this family needs to see. His smile twitched. What things? The truth, I said. And then I shared my screen. The first document popped up. The loan agreement. My father's signature. Marcus's signature. $180,000. 32% interest. Dad's face went white. What is that? Mom whispered. I clicked to the next file. The deed papers for Grandma Grace's house, signed over during the exact week she was hospitalized. Mom's mouth opened, but no sound came out. That signature is shaky because Grandma didn't know what she was signing, I said calmly. My lawyer has her medical records. She was heavily medicated. This can be fraud. Dad tried to speak. Audrey, this is family. I'm not finished, I said. I clicked again. Now the screenshots filled the screen. Text messages between Marcus and Diana. Romantic, graphic, disgusting. These are messages between Marcus and his assistant. Diana, I said. They've been together for 8 months. Vivian's face crumpled like paper. What? I read one line out loud. Once the house deal closes, I'm out. Then another, she served her purpose. Divorce papers are already drafted. Marcus jumped up, chair scraping. That's fake, he snapped. She's lying. Those are edited. I looked right at Vivian. Ask him, I said quietly. Look at his face and ask him. Vivian turned her head, voice shaking. Marcus. He didn't answer. He grabbed his phone and walked out of frame. Mom started crying. Dad just sat there frozen, like his brain shut down. Then I said very calmly, here's what's gonna happen next. I'm paying off the loan. I'm clearing the lien. Grandma's house will be legally protected. None of you will have any claim to it. Dad leaned forward, desperate. Audrey. We're family. I stared at him. Family doesn't steal from a 90-year-old woman? Then I took a breath. And I'm still not done. Okay. Pause for 1 second. If you're listening to this right now and your heart is pounding, I get it. If you've ever dreamed of finally saying the truth out loud to people who treated you like nothing, hit like. Because what happens next? Even I didn't expect it. And if you want to know what karma did to Marcus after this call, stay with me. I ended the video call before anyone could respond. The last thing I saw was chaos. Vivian crying, Mom yelling, Dad sitting with his head in his hands, and Marcus gone. Then my apartment went quiet. Just me and the sunset fading behind my window. I thought I'd feel victory. I thought I'd feel proud. Instead, I felt empty. Like I had run a marathon I never trained for. And then my phone exploded. Calls, texts, voicemails. I turned it to silent and set it face down. And that's when I heard the knock at my door. My whole body went still, because nobody knew where I lived. I walked to the peephole, and my breath caught. It was Aunt Marlene. I opened the door slowly, still tense, still ready for anything. Aunt Marlene stood there with tired eyes and a face that looked like she'd been holding in fear for years. How did you find me? I asked. My voice came out sharper than I meant. She swallowed. Thomas Smith gave me your address, she said softly. I hope that's okay. I didn't want you to be alone tonight. For a second, I didn't move. Then I stepped aside and let her in. The second she saw my face, she didn't ask questions. She just pulled me into a hug, like she'd been waiting to do that for a long time. You did good, honey, she whispered. You did what none of us had the courage to do. My throat tightened. Did I? I pulled back and laughed, but it wasn't funny. I just destroyed my whole family on a video call. Aunt Marlene shook her head. Firm. No, Audrey. They destroyed themselves years ago. You just turned on the lights. My phone buzzed again on the table. A text from Vivian. I didn't know about Marcus. I swear I didn't know. I'm sorry about everything. I need time. But I'm sorry. I read it once, then again, then a third time. My hands didn't shake this time. I just felt tired. Aunt Marlene watched me. What do you think? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly, placing the phone down. I don't know if she means it. I don't know if anything changes. Marlene nodded, like she understood the weight of that. You don't have to decide tonight, she said. Tonight, you just breathe. For the first time in 32 years, I had something I never had before. Choices. Freedom. 2 weeks later, Thomas Smith called me with news that made my whole body go soft with relief. It's done, he said. The challenge went through faster than expected, with the medical records and your Aunt Marlene's statements. The bank agreed to void the transfer. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for months. So, Grandma's house. It's still tied up, Thomas explained carefully. Your father defaulted on payments when Marcus stopped co-signing. Technically, the bank still holds it right now, but this is where your money helps. I didn't hesitate. To pay it off, I said, whatever it costs. It will be about $215,000, he said. Principal, interest fees. After that, the deed can be transferred cleanly back to your grandmother. Do it, I said again. That money was nothing compared to what I had now. But what it meant everything. There's one more thing, Thomas added. His voice lowered. I drafted a protection clause. Once the house is in Grace's name, no one in your family, your parents included, can claim any rights to it. Not while she's alive, and not after. I pictured the crumpled ticket, my mother's mocking smile. $2 meant to humiliate me and keep me small. One more clause, I said. Put it in writing that Grandma can live there for the rest of her life, with full-time care if needed, fully paid for. It's already included, Thomas said. I could hear the respect in his voice. Your grandmother chose you for a reason. I hung up and called the nursing home right away. I'm coming to pick up Grace Mitchell, I told them. She's going home. Meanwhile, Marcus tried to control the story. Of course he did. He told people the screenshots were edited. He told them I was unstable. He said I was jealous of Vivian. He said I was trying to destroy the family. And maybe, years ago, that kind of lie would have worked. But this time there was Diana. And Diana was furious. 3 days after that video call, Diana went nuclear online. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. She posted photos, receipts, hotel bookings, messages that made the ones I shared look tame. And then she made a video statement, mascara streaked, eyes burning. Marcus Pierce is a liar, she said. A fraud, a predator. He told me he loved me. He told me he was leaving his wife, and now he's pretending I don't exist. The internet tore him apart. And Diana wasn't the only one. Within a week, 2 of Marcus's business partners went to the state attorney general with complaints about his lending business. Turns out, those interest rates weren't just dirty. They were illegal. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to. The dominoes fell on their own. Vivian filed for divorce before the cruise ship even docked. My father declared bankruptcy the next month. The car shop he'd owned for 30 years was gone. Liquidated to pay debts that had been piling up long before I ever saw those papers. When Aunt Marlene told me, I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel pity either. I just felt quiet. Like I had finally stepped out of a storm that never stopped. Karma, Grandma Grace said later, sitting in her own living room for the first time in a year. Her hand squeezed mine. I told you I believe in karma. Some things didn't need more words. My mother called me 3 weeks after the video call. I almost didn't answer, but something in me wanted to hear her say it. So I pressed the green button. Audrey, she said. Her voice was raw, like she'd been crying for days. You ruined us. I stayed calm. Hello, Mom? No, she snapped. No, hello, how could you do this? Straight to blame, straight to anger, just like always. I didn't ruin anything, I said quietly. I told the truth. The truth? She laughed bitterly. Everyone knows now. The neighbors. The church. My book club. 18 years, Audrey, and now they won't even answer me. I'm sorry that's happening, I said. Are you? Her voice cracked. Because you had everything. $100 million. You could have helped us. You could have saved your father's business. I could have covered up fraud. I cut in, voice steady. I could have pretended Marcus wasn't cheating. I could have let you keep Grandma's house. Is that what you wanted? We're your family, she cried. So is Grandma, I said. Silence. Then I spoke softer, but stronger. I'm not blocking your number. If you ever want a real conversation, one where you admit what you did, not just what you lost, I'll listen. but I won't sit here and be your punching bag for the consequences you created. Her breathing was loud in my ear. You're cold, she whispered. When did you become so cold? I didn't even pause. I learned from the best, I said. She hung up. And it was the last time we spoke for 6 months. Dad didn't call at all. I heard through Aunt Marlene that they moved into a small apartment across town. Dad worked as a mechanic for someone else now. Mom got a job at a grocery store. And I didn't celebrate it. I didn't gloat. I just kept living, because that was always the point. Not to punish them. To finally live free. 3 months after the cruise, a letter came in the mail. Not a text, not an email. A real handwritten letter on pale blue paper. Vivian's handwriting. I hadn't seen it since she wrote notes in middle school. I sat down at my kitchen table and opened it slowly. Dear Audrey, I don't know how to start, so I'll just start. I'm sorry, not because I want money, not because I'm trying to get back on your good side. I'm sorry because I should have said it years ago and I didn't. She admitted she knew something was wrong with Marcus. She admitted she ignored it, because facing it meant her whole life was a lie. She admitted she knew Mom and Dad treated me unfairly. And she called herself what she was, a coward. You were my little sister, she wrote. I should have protected you anyway. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't write back that day, not yet. But something shifted inside me, like a door that had been locked for years cracked open. Just a little. We met for coffee the next month. It was awkward, stiff, like we were learning a language we forgot. But we were trying, and trying was something. Then April came. Grandma Grace came home. I was there when the nursing home van pulled into her driveway. The same driveway where I learned to ride a bike. The same driveway where she used to wave goodbye until she disappeared in the mirror. She looked smaller, frailer, but her eyes still had that sharp spark. When she saw the ramp I had installed, the new safety rails, the fresh paint, the clean windows, she smiled. It needs work, she said, looking at the overgrown garden outside. I'm going to fix it, I promised. That's my job, remember? That afternoon we sat in the sunroom, watching birds at the feeder I had put up. She looked around slowly. You did all this? It's your house, I said. It should feel like home. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, your mother called me last week. My stomach tightened. What did she say? She wanted me to convince you to come back, Grandma said. And what did you tell her? Grandma turned her face to me. Her eyes were sharp as ever. I told her you never left. Family isn't about showing up for Sunday dinner. It's about showing up when it matters. Then she took my hand. You showed up, Audrey, she said, when everyone else looked at me and saw what they could take. You looked at me and saw what you could give. I blinked hard. I just did what was right, I whispered. And that's the hardest thing to do, she said. And you did it anyway. We sat together until the sun went down. No more words needed. 1 year later, I barely recognized my own life. I still worked, not because I needed the money, but because I actually loved what I did. My landscape design business had grown fast. I hired 2 employees, rented a real office with real windows, and for the first time ever, I had clients waiting in line. In just 12 months, I designed 3 public gardens, places where people could sit, breathe, and feel peaceful, the way I wished I had felt for most of my life. Most of the lottery money stayed untouched. I put it away safely, spread out, protected. I bought a small, simple house near Grandma Grace. Nothing fancy, nothing loud. Just a home that felt like mine. And yes, I finally adopted a dog. A rescue mutt named Clover. She loved to dig holes in my test garden like it was her full-time job. And honestly, it made me laugh every single time. But the thing I'm most proud of wasn't the house or the money. It was the foundation I created. The Grace Mitchell Foundation, named after my grandmother. It gave scholarships to young women who wanted careers in the arts, painting, music, design, anything creative. Girls who came from families that didn't understand them. Girls who were told their dreams were not practical, their talent didn't matter. Their voice was too much. Every acceptance letter I read felt like a quiet victory. Like a message back to the world that said, no, you don't get to erase people like us. I visited Grandma Grace every day. Some days she was sharp, full of stories, making jokes like she always did. Other days, she was tired, and we just sat together in calm silence, watching her garden come back to life. One afternoon I told her, "Your tulips are coming up." She smiled like she already knew. "You planted them," she reminded me. "They're still yours too." Then she said something I'll never forget. "Everything good I've ever had came from sharing it with people who appreciated it." Remember that? I did remember, because I was living proof of it. And here's the part people don't expect. The money didn't make me happy. It gave me options. It gave me space. It gave me freedom from other people's control. But happiness, that came from something else. Work that mattered. Relationships built on honesty. And the simple peace of being myself, without fear. People ask me about my family all the time. "Where are your parents now? Did you forgive them? Did you all make up?" And the honest answer is, it's complicated. My parents live in a small apartment across town. Dad works as a mechanic. Mom works at a grocery store. They're not homeless. They're not starving. But they're not living the life they dreamed of. Either. We talk sometimes. Dad sends me a short text on my birthday. "Hope you're doing okay. Love, Dad." I reply, "Thanks. Hope you're okay too." That's it. That's our relationship now. Mom never truly apologized. She calls once in a while, usually to complain about her life, or hint that she needs help. I listen politely. Then I change the subject. Sometimes she gets angry and hangs up. Sometimes we manage a few minutes of calm conversation before the bitterness creeps back in. And I'll be honest, I am not ready to let her back into my life. Maybe I never will be. And that's okay, because forgiveness isn't something you owe to people who hurt you. It's something you give yourself. Only if and when you're ready. Vivian is different. We've had coffee about 6 times now, lunch twice. We text sometimes, not every day, not like best friends, but enough to feel like something is slowly rebuilding. She's starting over. New apartment, new job, a therapist who's helping her understand how she ended up married to someone like Marcus. We're not close yet. We might never be the kind of sisters we should have been, but we're trying. And that matters. One day she told me very quietly, "I didn't realize how messed up our family was until I got out." Then she said, "I thought that was normal. I thought I was lucky." We both sat there for a long time, because we both believed whatever we needed to believe, just to survive. As for Marcus, I don't know where he is. And I don't care. Some people don't deserve space in your mind. I made peace with that. I'm moving forward. That's enough. And yes, people ask me the same question again and again. Did $100 million change your life? My answer always surprises them. No, not really. What changed my life was one moment. One clear moment, where I finally understood the truth. I spent 32 years waiting for people to see my value. And they never would. Not because I didn't have value, but because they weren't looking, they didn't want to look. That lottery ticket was a gift, not just because of the money, but because of what it exposed. The people who were supposed to love me only cared when they thought I had something they could use. And that realization was worth more than any jackpot. So if you're listening to this and you feel invisible in your own family, hear me clearly. You don't need $100 million to free yourself. You don't need luck. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need one decision. The decision to stop letting other people decide what you're worth. Set your boundaries. Walk away from tables where you're only invited to serve. And if you have to, build your own table. Money gave me options. But the strength, that was always inside me. I just didn't know it until someone handed me a crumpled $2 ticket with a smirk and thought they were putting me in my place. They did put me in my place. Just not the place they expected. I am Audrey Crawford, 33 years old now. Landscape designer, dog mom, granddaughter, philanthropist, and most importantly, a woman who finally chose herself. That's the real jackpot. If you stayed with me until the end, thank you. And if any part of this story felt familiar, if you've ever been the invisible one in your own family, drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. Like and subscribe if this hit you in the chest the way it hit me to live it, and check the description for the next story, because it's already waiting for you. Until next time, know your worth. Don't let anyone hand you less. And remember, your life is bigger than anyone else's opinion.